everybody in this room knows they're going to die. I doubt if one person in this room feels they're going to die. I don't think we can come to grips with that fact. But it is something you think about a lot. You ever watch movies from the 30s and think to yourself, geez, everybody in this movie is dead now. I watch movies from the 70s and I think, geez, all of the dogs in this movie are dead now. I think it's weird that we're all going to be dead someday, and I think everybody in this room tries somehow to reach beyond their death. A lot of people seek immortality through religion. You know, that's the big one. You believe in God, and though your body may pass, your spirit, the essence of you, will ascend into the heavens where it will dwell for eternity. That's a neat program. I wish I could sign up, but I can't. The person I am, this thing in here, could never make that leap of faith. And I was what? I was 8 years old when that first dawned on me. I was sitting in the basement of the Wood Village Baptist Church when our Sunday school teacher said the oddest thing. Very nonchalantly, she threw this in, and then Jesus changed the water into wine. And I raised my hand and said, how? She said, well, Ricky, it's a miracle. You know, God can do anything. You have to believe that to get to heaven. And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't even believe that other people believed it. What I believed in at 8 is what I believe in at 39, science. I think that things are explainable. Will you show me any kind of scientific principle that even comes close to explaining the changing of water into wine? Some sort of Chardonnayization process, you know. And religion actually had a much bigger strike against it when I was a kid. My brother Mike. Mike is the most annoyingly religious person I've ever met. Mike truly believes that all Jewish people will burn in hell. He believes that women belong in the home. He believes that homosexuality is a disease. Yeah, Mike's the kind of guy that has to talk to God because nobody else can stand him. And things came to a head between Mike and me. This would be 2 years ago, Thanksgiving 1989. Mom lives in Fairview now, and we're all at her house outside of Portland in Fairview, gathered around the food, which is growing cold as Mike prays over it. And 8 heads are bowed, mine's not. I'm staring out the back window. And Mike later accused me of, as he put it, breaking the prayer chain. You know, like what kind of God would look down and because one member of the family is not praying would just screw them all? Well, the hell with that family. And at the end of this prayer, and this was so atypical of Mike, this was unlike Mike to do this, because he's fairly soft-spoken. But at the end of his prayer, he lost it. And he just tore into me. He goes, you know, Ricky, I'm really getting annoyed with you. You know what I'm starting to think? Look at me. I'm starting to think that you're not going to go to heaven. And I lean toward him very calmly. I go, Mike, I don't want to go to heaven. You know why? You're going to be there. Yeah. He is so exasperating. You know that feeling? You ever been awakened early in the morning by a Jehovah's Witness? You're walking downtown, you're accosted by a crazy street preacher with a megaphone. You turn on the TV, there's Tammy Baker. Jerry Falwell, that Reverend Scott guy that never sleeps. You know. Has it ever dawned on you that heaven might be a very annoying place? I'll tell you, the big fear in my life is that I have a son who as a teenager rebels against me by becoming devoutly religious. I would hate that. I picture myself pounding on his door at night. You're not praying in there, are you, son? No, Dad, I'm masturbating. Well, good for you. Good boy. There are 380 people in this room right now. Somebody has to be offended by this time. Let me say something in all sincerity. If you believe in God, and I imagine the majority of you do, I envy you that facet of your life. I mean, I think it would be really cool to have the answers to life. You know where you came from. You know where you're going. You know why you're here. I think you're wrong. But I do envy you those convictions. And you know what? I do have what I would call religious convictions. You know, I studied religion for many, many years. I've read the Bible. I like the Bible. The Bible is obviously the most important book ever written. It's not written that well. Horrible character development, for one thing. You know, you look at the New Testament, the main character, Jesus, first appears as a baby. The very next scene he's in with lines, he's suddenly an adult delivering sermons. Well, you got to ask yourself, what happened to teen Jesus? Where is that? I have a theory. I think they avoided this part of his life because he was a problem kid. I mean, he has to be a little spoiled. Imagine you were 13 years old, okay? You showed up at the father-son picnic with God. You're going to win every event you enter. Nobody can eat more pie than God. Don't bother trying. I am attracted to a lot of religions, Judaism a lot, and a lot of Eastern religions, because they are what I call altruistic. They have to do with, some moral structure, some guidelines for living your life on this planet. I look at Western religions as fairly selfish. They have to do with gaining something for yourself. Of the Western religions, I love Catholicism because it's really, really weird. I mean, the further you dig into Catholicism and read some of the antiquated doctrine, things like exorcism start to be reasonable to you, Ironically, my two favorite things in any religion are in the Catholic Church. Confession, I think, is a monumentally great idea. And I also am a fan of the Pope. I like the Pope, which doesn't say a lot. I mean, doesn't everybody like the Pope? Nobody ever says, that fucking Pope. You never flip through the paper and suddenly go, pointy-headed bastard. I saw the Pope when he was in the country about 4 years ago in San Francisco, and I was excited to see him and very disappointed because I'm on Geary Boulevard, 120,000 people, the Pope's coming, I'm excited. He was a little late, which didn't bother me that much. What bothered me, he went by too fast, I thought, and plus, he was in some thing so you couldn't see him. He's in that Pope phone booth, whatever it is. Well, who cares? You know what might have impressed me a little bit? Fill the booth with water. Tie the Pope's hands behind his back. Give him like a mile to work his way out of that thing. Let him show off his Pope stuff, whatever. If I could diverge from the show for a second, somebody has to write a paper on this phenomenon. Pope jokes work 10 times better in LA than they do in San Francisco. There has to be a reason for that. I actually had dropped something that offended people. Tell me if this offends you guys. Maybe it won't. I don't know. I might have become a Catholic if the church was a little different. Like if at communion the host was fudge, I'd be there. Okay, what if I added body of Christ with or without nuts? Maybe, I don't know. Oh, no, Body of Christ with or without nuts is the funniest thing I have ever said in my life. If I were you, I'd actually have to pull over to the side of the road to laugh tonight when I regurgitated that joke. And I remember offering this pearl of humor to my audiences at Theater in the Square in San Francisco, and they would reject it. And I remember just drawing inward and thinking, they're so wrong. I am right about all things. Aren't you? Don't you feel self-righteously convicted about everything? You take the most volatile issue in the country today, abortion. Forget about it. You were locked in for life on that one. And it's hard to even look at the other side objectively. I try. It's tough. I go, Rick, there are two sides to everything. On one side of the abortion issue, there are people that believe that a woman has the right to decide what happens to her own body. On the other side of the abortion issue, there are brain-dead zealots. Who's to say who's right? Far be it from me to judge.